Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Welcome back, Ram fans. This is Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are proud members of the Fans First Sports Network. That's fansfirstsports.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Our channel is at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. You'll hear from my co-host, Tom, on occasion as well. Hey, we're not Rams insiders. We're just longtime fans who love talking about our Los Angeles Rams. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 366 of Rams Up. We're continuing our tour around the Rams position groups. This episode, we're going to talk about the tackle position. And you know what? We have Rob Havenstein, rock solid, senior statesman at right tackle. So this conversation is really going to be just about the left tackle. And of course, that conversation will trickle into the interior offensive line. Can't avoid that. Got guys that play multiple positions, swing guard and tackle. So we'll talk about all of that, but mostly about left tackle. For episode 366, let's talk about someone who wore number 66. Remember Brian Young, the defensive tackle, drafted by the Rams out of UTEP, University, Texas, El Paso, in 2000, 6'2", 298, played for the Rams for 4 years, 2000 through 2003, finished his Rams career with 10.5 sacks, and then moved on to the New Orleans Saints. He played in that Super Bowl, had 2 tackles against the Patriots, and what is his claim to fame? Didn't realize this, probably knew it at one time. One of those many data points I just forgot, I guess. On November 9th, 2003, Brian Young tied an NFL record with 3 fumble recoveries against the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, last year I shared a bunch of draft trivia questions leading up to the draft, and I'm going to do something kind of similar in some of these episodes. I'll share a trivia question related to free agency trades in the draft at the start of the episode, which would be right now, and I'll give you the answer at the end to give you time to think about it. And here is my question for episode 366. Prior to the 1999 season, Rams had signed Trent Green from Washington. That made a certain quarterback expendable. They traded this quarterback, and that made room for a third string guy to move up to second string. That third string guy was Kurt Warner. Who was the quarterback the Rams traded away to make room for Kurt Warner? I'll give you the answer at the end here. Of course, this is the same year the Rams traded for Marshall Faulk, and they also signed Adam Timmerman, a really underrated move that they made there. They also signed free agent linebacker Todd Collins. But Faulk and Timmerman, and the fact that this third string quarterback moved up to be waiting in the wings behind Trent Green, turned out to be the big moves. So who is the quarterback they traded away? And how about SoFi Stadium? Taking center stage for the World Cup in 2026, they'll be hosting 8 games, including the opening game for the U.S. men's national team. Kind of cool. Interesting, though, as far as the World Cup is concerned, it will be known as Los Angeles Stadium during the World Cup. They do not allow sponsorship of World Cup venues, apparently. They're also making some renovations at SoFi, replacing concrete in the corners of the lower bowl with bleachers that can be rolled back during soccer matches. This is due to concerns by the World Cup folks, I guess, that the field just wasn't wide enough. The field and the sidelines needed to make it a little bit wider to make those folks happy. Continuing our tour through Rams position groups as we get closer to free agency and the NFL draft, let's move on to the left tackle position. I'm going to start by talking about the tackles the Rams have drafted over the recent years. Between 2011 and 2013, the Rams did not draft a tackle, and then in 2014 they drafted two. The infamous Greg Robinson, that did not work out, and Mitchell Van Dyke was a late round draft pick. In 2015, two more tackles, actually three tackles drafted in 2015. We hit on one of them, Rob Havenstein. Jamon Brown, no, did not work out, and Andrew Donnell was a late round pick as well, and he did not last. No tackles in 2016 or 2017, and then in 2018, two more tackles, Joseph Noteboom and Jamal Demby. Again, as I mentioned on the interior offensive line segment, I never saw Demby as a tackle, but that's what he was listed at when he was drafted. And then in 2019, two more tackles. Bobby Evans, kind of like Demby. Yeah, I guess he was seen as a right tackle coming out perhaps, but ended up being more of a guard, a swing tackle guard player. And he, early on, looked like he was going to work out, but that did not happen. And the other 2019 tackle pick, David Edwards, he played well for the Rams for a year and a half or so, had the injuries, concussions, and moved on to the Bills. And in 2022, late round pick A.J. Arcuri, and in 2023, Warren McClendon, listed simply as an offensive lineman. He's a guy that could play guard, could play tackle, we'll have to see, and he may end up working out. And what tackles are on our current roster? Well, we got Valeric Jackson. He's a restricted free agent, surely to be retained, I would think. A.J. Arcuri is still there. Joseph Noteboom, Warren McClendon, two guys that can play guard or tackle. Rob Havenstein, a rock at right tackle. Getting up there in years, though. And then there's Zach Thomas, and I may have mistakenly referred to him as a guard in our interior offensive line segment, and I think he can play guard or tackle. I don't think he can play either one very well, though, but there he is on the roster. Now, when we're talking about free agents in the draft, the problem with the free agents is there's a few guys that would definitely get the job done for us, but I think we're going to be priced out as far as they go. Unless that's the splash the Rams decide to make, they're going to make a splash or two in free agency. Tyron Smith of the Cowboys is the top guy. Talking left tackle strictly here, by the way. I don't think we're going to make any noise at the right tackle position. I think we're pretty good there. Rob Havenstein, Warren McClendon as his backup, or possibly Noteboom. And then there's Dwayne Brown at the Jets, Cornelius Lucas of the Commanders, Donovan Smith of the Chiefs, and a handful of other guys. I'm just not sure any of these guys outside of Tyron Smith are really the type of guys you want to spend the money on and expect that left tackle problem to be resolved, if we're going to call it a problem. Alaric Jackson was okay there, and the Rams could roll with Alaric Jackson for another season, but I'm hoping they improve it. Now, the left tackle position in the draft, there are a lot of guys out there that could possibly nail this position down for us. We start with Olumuyiwa Fashanu. I'm sorry, some of these names I just struggle with, but let's just call him Fashanu of Penn State. He's the top guy. Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. J.C. Latham out of Alabama. Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State. Those are clearly the top four, and all will likely go in the first round. And there's some later picks that could sneak into the first round as well, especially Amarius Mims of Georgia. There's also Patrick Paul of Houston, Graham Barton of Duke, Tyler Goyton of Oklahoma, Jordan Morgan of Arizona. I think all of these guys could translate to NFL left tackles. Are all of them a sure thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's a dilemma. I would hope the Rams draft a left tackle of the future at some point. It's just a matter of how high a priority they're going to put on it in 2024. How do they see Alaric Jackson moving forward? Got to keep Matthew Stafford upright. Got to keep him clean. Got to keep him injury-free the entire season, or at least most of it, if we're going to make a Super Bowl run like I think this team can. So what is my conclusion about the left tackle position? Well, I'll tell you this. The Rams are going to use that first-round pick on one of two positions, I'm pretty convinced. Cornerback and left tackle. One of those two positions. What I don't know is how the Rams really feel about Kobe Durant and Darion Kendrick, and if they're going to be able to retain Ahkello Witherspoon. And as far as the left tackle goes, not entirely sure about how they feel about Alaric Jackson and if Kevin Dotson is going to be retained. Yeah, Dotson's not a left tackle, obviously, but if they lose Kevin Dotson, just puts more impetus on improving the left tackle position. The entire offensive line, they're going to have work to do. So what's my conclusion? I don't know what the Rams are going to do. Don't think they're going to spend the money on a left tackle, although they've done that in the past, right? Andrew Whitworth, for example. That would be something if they went out and signed Tyron Smith, but I don't think that's going to happen. Too many needs. They can't make one giant splash. They're going to make a couple of medium-sized splashes and go out and draft a cornerback, maybe a left tackle. I just don't know if they can get the left tackle they need in the second round. So my thought is left tackle in the first, cornerback in the second. That means we miss out on Nate Wiggins, Quinyon Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, those three guys. But hey, you can't have it all. Rams go left tackle in the first round. That's my best guess right now. Unless they love Alaric Jackson, and maybe they do. Just goes to show you how little we all really know about where the Rams are headed with their offensive line. We'll find out a lot in the first couple of weeks of free agency, I think. But remember, the Rams are pretty notorious for sitting on their hands for the first couple of weeks, so it could take 3 or 4 weeks. They'll let some of the competition go out and spend big dollars and then go for value. Unless it's Tyron Smith, they'd have to jump on that pretty fast. Don't think that's going to happen, though. Hey, I like to share some mock draft information each episode. I'm not going to share my mock draft. Instead, I'm going to share what Ryan Wilson and Chris Trapazzo of CBS Sports posted. They updated their first-round mock drafts. Now, I don't know if these are changes for the Rams, but currently Ryan has the Rams taking Cooper DeJean, the cornerback out of Iowa. I'm liking him more and more. Now, the tackle I really liked, Talisi Fuaga, went 1 pick before that. Amarius Mims, the tackle out of Georgia, went 1 pick before that. I think Fuaga is going to go before Mims. Terrion Arnold, a cornerback. I keep on forgetting about him. I talk about the top 3 cornerbacks. Really should be talking about 5. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Terrion Arnold. So Ryan has the Rams going Cooper DeJean. Fair enough. And Chris has the Rams going with a safety, Cameron Kinchens. Now, I can see the Rams drafting a safety, but I don't see them picking a safety in the first round. I don't know when the last time that happened was. I'll have to check on that. Rams have been so good at drafting safeties late. And right after Kinchens, Quinyon Mitchell went, Jackson Powers Johnson, that interior offensive lineman we love, Kool-Aid McKinstry and Cooper DeJean a couple picks later. I don't know, man. I don't think the Rams are taking a safety over any of those guys, but that's just my Rams-educated opinion. Before I give you the answer to my trivia question, we do still hope to have a roundtable this week with Paul, Ian, and Tom talking about the Super Bowl and any other Rams news. And I'll also have my preview of the game at some point this week. So who was the quarterback the Rams traded in 1999, paving the way for Kurt Warner to replace Trent Green as the Rams quarterback in that great Super Bowl year. It was none other than Tony Banks. Traded to the Baltimore Ravens for a 5th and 7th round draft pick, went on to play for the Cowboys, Washington, and then the Houston Texans. Tony Banks. Wonder what would have happened if the Rams had kept Tony Banks as Trent Green's backup. Kurt Warner may have never got his chance. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.